Hi, Mermaid Junkies. Now, I am going to do a little different of a video. And I think the reason that I'm doing this is because I really would like to, I've seen so many things on YouTube about this, and I feel like I have like a bird's eye view into a different perspective of this because I have so many similarities. And so what I'm going to talk about is, and this was, I guess, the end of last year or maybe the beginning of this year. And if anybody is YouTubers, you know that there's the vlogging family that ended up becoming multimillionaires, and they sold their company. I guess he was part owner, which is the Shay Carl family, the Shay Tards. And that's one of the reasons that I knew of them, is because, you know, I used to be a previous practicing Mormon. And so that's how I came about them. I think I had a friend that she lives in Pocatello, and so she was like, "Oh, have you ever seen this, family or whatever?" And so anyway, I mean, I haven't watched their stuff a lot just because they're right in the I guess they were right in the thick of like having young kids and stuff, and so I wasn't really interested in that kind of thing. But it was kind of probably like the first. Anyway, they're really, really popular on YouTube, and they are a really great success story. But just recently in the news, I saw, like, it was on, you have these things that pop up, suggestions and things like this on YouTube, especially if you're a YouTube creator. And I saw that, like, there was, I guess he was caught cheating or something, and on Twitter or something, I don't know. But I wanted to address this because I know that he came out and said something about the fact that he was, first of all, I know he's a practicing Mormon. Second of all, like, I know that religion. I mean, I was that religion for 39 years. I mean, and I'm still like on the records as a Mormon. Like, the visiting teachers still come to my house and stuff like that. But I no longer practice the religion. And I mean, I raised all my children Mormon, that kind of stuff, temple marriage, everything. Like, so full throttle, like, I know all of the underpinnings of what the religion is. And so, and this is not like a bashing thing. If at all, it's actually a very supportive thing as far as Shay. I guess that's his name, right? Shay. Because I feel as though there's been a huge, either people are very, very inclined to be hysterical about it, like they just can't believe, they're astonished, blah, blah, blah. Or they're the other thing of, like, they're ridiculing him because it's like, that's what you get for being, portraying yourself as a perfect family, and you're not perfect, It's like people want to, like, downgrade him and, like, really, really insult their family and stuff. So I wanted to touch on 3 different things. One is that I know what it's like to be Mormon. 2, I know what it feels like to be depressed, and seek out other things that you want to do to try and feel better, which is what he was doing, which you can say he was cheating, blah, 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 whatever. The other thing is alcoholism, because, listen, I was raised in a horrific family, childhood, which my dad was a horrible alcoholic. Horrible, violent alcoholic. And little did I know, I married a Mormon that was a closet alcoholic for 18 years. And I mean, he could still be an alcoholic, I don't know. But so I know that sounds odd that I could be married to someone that long and not realize that they were. But let me explain something. The reason that a person, and I'm not saying that I understand what Mrs. Carl, or I don't even know what their names are, but is it Shay Carl? Is that their last name? Butlers or something? I don't know. But anyway, okay, so that family, like, I don't know what the missus is dealing with, but I know as far as what infidelity and, depression and alcoholism, I know what that does to the psyche of a person, especially if you're a practicing LDS person. And so, I would be very reluctant to say that I don't know them personally, like I said, but I know that Shay is also a Pisces, which is very interesting to me, I think, because there's a lot of very, very influential Pisces. Am I putting myself in that category? Perhaps. But anyway, I just wanted to say that, you know what, I mean, I think that the reason perhaps that someone goes to alcohol and they have depression, or, you know, these sexual appetites and stuff, because it's very prevalent. Is prevalent the word? Very prevalent for LDS people, especially Mormons, because everything is so, I mean, and once again, that's exactly the transformation of why I talk about what I do as far as a mermaid, because everything on the external, like on the surface, okay, so pretend that I'm the mermaid, okay, I'm a mermaid. And everything from the, like, from the waist up is like that little idyllic family. You know what I'm saying? Everything looks perfect, everything's in place, you're doing everything by the book. You're this particular way, and people see that particular part of you, and that's the only part that they see. You're following all the rules, you know, all that kind of stuff. But beneath the waters, which is where these appetites for depression and sexual activity and porn and promiscuous behavior happens in Mormons, is because, and it's not just designated to one particular sex, like the male or the female, but I think it's prevalent in both. I mean, if we really were to strip the mask down, strip the scales off of it, and realize that the main reason, I believe from my personal experience, is that when someone like Shay Butler or whoever it is, but because we're talking about LDS and Mormons right now, it's no reflection on the religion. However, if you are not truly authentic and expose all of yourself and being transparent, these things are going to happen. And so many times people look up to these people, you know, they look up to bishops, or they look up to these authority figures, instead of looking within yourself to believe that there's someone else higher that is more control and more powerful and more spiritual and better and more perfect than you, causes people to feel this sense of unworthiness. And that's the main reason people do anything. That's the main reason you're screwing every girl at church, you know, meeting them in places, going on Twitter, going on, sexting, and all this kind of stuff, especially when you see it in religion, because people are not dealing with their emotions and feelings. And I really believe that's what it is. It's like you're so indoctrinated into this belief that, you know, that we have this perfectionism that we've got to live up to. And if you can't do it, you freaking want to cut your wrists because you can't deal with it. Like, you get to the point where it's got to seep out somewhere. Like, you can cover it down, you know, and I think for particularly like Mr. Butler, that was how his journey began, because he was probably seeking out some way, because he was LDS, you know, some way to validate this sense of feeling unhappy or whatever. And that's where he found YouTube. And that's his success story. You remember, like, I guess in the beginning, that's how it's all started, because I think I saw it on like a 2020 special or something like that, because now they're millionaires, is that he started it as a success story for his weight. And so what I'm thinking, and I may be completely off on this, but I'm very intuitive when it comes to this kind of thing, is that he was looking for an outlet because, you know, as a Mormon, it's a little bit more acceptable if you're overweight. Like, for some reason, they don't think that's like you're committing suicide. Like, you're literally killing yourself, because, you know, you can still do all of the things and like get by because you're overweight. But God forbid that you're doing drugs, or, you know, taking depression pills, or, you know, you're having affairs, or you're addicted to porn, you know, whatever. I mean, I'm not justifying all of these things. I'm just saying that I have no judgment. Like, what happens for somebody like that? And I know because that's exactly what I did. Now, I didn't eat myself into oblivion like Shay did. And so it's going, when you stop that, and so notice that when he got thin, that because you didn't address those feelings and emotions that were going on with you, you stuff them down. So you figure out another outlet. It's like you start putting, you put holes on it, but it starts seeping out anywhere it can. And so mine didn't happen that way because I didn't drink or whatever, but because my ex did, that was his way of coping with it. Like that, alcohol and food, with alcohol and food. And that's the way people are able to kind of keep a lid on it. You keep pushing it down. People do it in so many different ways. Like a lot of LDS and Mormons will do it with food though, because it's more socially acceptable in the church. Does that make sense? Like, and so like mine, it wasn't that way because I had these huge ingrained beliefs about feeling love. And and I've talked about this on different videos, is that, I felt love if I was thin and skinny. And so of course I attracted, I completely did the opposite, which was became anorexic. Whereas, other people just like that feeling of alcohol, but I didn't do alcohol because I had grown up in such a horrific childhood with alcohol that I was just like, it was taboo for me to do with that. So probably, who's to say? I don't know. But here's the thing, is that like, I think what my main thing that I'm trying to say is, one, we need to look and address our feelings. Two, we can't expect to have this elevated sense of superiority to these particular families, especially like Mormon families. Like people put these people on pedestals and it's like, they're no different than us. Like they're not different, but everybody gets in that social status of like, if it's a Mormon actor, or if it's a Mormon, political person, or, like Mitt Romney, like it's like, because they're Mormon, it's like you're in this exclusive group or something. And I know that so many of my Mormon friends will understand what I'm saying. And like, I'm just here to break the barriers down and say, you know what? That's a direct, like what happened with Shay. And I seriously doubt probably, and I don't know. Look, who would have thought that I would have got divorced, went away from the church and everything like that? But, and who's to say if they'll probably try to mend their ways and tuck that back in and like, oh, I'm the one that has the problem. Shay's the one that has the problem. When he doesn't have a problem, it's just his way of dealing with trying to find relief. And, alcohol, I'm not saying that you shouldn't drink or should drink, but you know what I am saying? Is if you're trying to figure out yourself internally and you need to keep drinking to find that relief until you can get to more clarity in your life, then you know what? I think it's okay. I think Source probably understands, like, it's okay. But when people shut things down and make you feel like I can only imagine what he's going through right now, because I know from personal experience is that they want to shut you down and like make you think that it's your fault. Like the wife is the victim and Shay is a horrible person because he needs treatment. He needs to get right. He's got a disease. He's got this. He doesn't freaking have a disease. I'm telling you right now. What it is he hasn't dealt with feelings and emotions that he has been given. Like the universe keeps trying to give us all of these different things to help us to kind of encourage us into it, realizing that we need to look at some stuff internally. But you know what? We don't. We mask it. And that's the worst thing that I think LDS people do. And I'm not clumping them all in one particular category, but a majority of the way that problems are dealt with is to mask it. Mask it, mask it, mask it. Put a Band-Aid on that. Put a Band-Aid on that. Like, oh, and so I can guarantee that this is probably what's going on. He needs to go to treatment. He needs to clean up. Oh, God forbid he get on social media, because that was the culprit of why he cheated. You know what I'm saying? He got too big for himself. Oh, now he's rich and he just needs to find himself again, without the video rolling. And you know, poor children, the poor wife, the poor whatever. And it's like they're making him feel like, and I guarantee you, like his family, and they probably don't mean to, it's just a subconscious thing, like conditioning beliefs, is that like they need to get Shay back into where he needs to be because everybody else's freaking life's uncomfortable now, right? Because God forbid he question anything in his life. Why don't you just take a pill? You know, deal with this. You need to go to AA. You've got an issue. And so many times, you know, if we're completely safeguarded from that, we're going to fall back into that subjection of feeling like, yeah, I'm a horrible person. That's right. Oh my God, I need to go to the bishop. I need to repent. Oh, I'm on probation. Oh, I don't want to be disfellowshipped. Oh, dear Lord, what if this happened? You know what I mean? It's like, and that is so disproportionate from the way that Source and God loves us. Like, it's conditional love. That's conditional love. Like, get your shit straight, get back in line, and start acting like you're supposed to, and then you're going to get love from me. Because that's kind of how people think God is, especially like Mormon mentality. And so, and like I said, I don't want people to think that I'm like, you know, thrashing on the Mormon belief. I'm just saying that in the thick of it, I do understand. I have a complete understanding of what that may feel like. And it's just like, give the guy love and support and help him to know that he is not, just show forth love. I mean, that's what God is all about. And it's not about a religion. It's not, but I know that it's going to be very difficult, especially if he is, you know, feeling these certain things, or there's certain issues in his life that he hasn't addressed. And so many times I think that these highly elevated, highly sensitive, like people that drink and people that do drugs, like if people would understand that these are the highly elevated people that have a stream of consciousness that are going so fast that we're just, that they're not lining up with it. And that's the scary part, is that he is probably so highly elevated, but because of all of the, you know, crap around them and their social influences, is that they don't feel like they can catch on to that stream of consciousness and become awakened, because it you know, it's just a belief that they've gained. And I understand that. Like, I can see that in so many people, especially so many people that are in my, you know, like direct family and stuff. And I understand that. So if you can just look at it maybe in a different perspective, is that this is his way of like consciousness telling him that, you know, he's not addressing issues or emotions and his feelings, like his feelings. And so it just came out. Like, it's going to come out in one form or another. Mine came out when I got 7 illnesses at one time, and I was completely incapacitated. Like, I couldn't go anywhere, I couldn't move. I was in such agony and pain, and that's the way that the universe basically allowed me to feel my feelings and start diving into that sense of those emotions and stuff that I wasn't healing, that I was just trying to mask them and band-aid them, you know? Just, I mean, if I can read more, if I can pray more, if I can look more perfect, and if I can be more perfect, if I can be the perfect weight, you know what I'm saying? And like, does any of you guys relate to this? Like, I hope that you do, and I hope you understand that. Like, once again, I will reiterate that I wasn't trying to condemn any religion at all. I'm just saying that, being someone that has experienced it, that I understand what that feels like, and it's very alienating. And so we just need to be very embracing and show forth unconditional love, you know? And if he decides to stay in that marriage, you know, I mean, and that's the other thing that I'm going to turn on the head too, is that maybe he is questioning things. I mean, we don't know what's going on in their minds, you know? It's not like, oh, will she forgive him, you know? Or does he want to be forgiven? Or does he want to stay in that? Maybe he's questioning other things too, in his whole repertoire of life and what it means, you know? And so I think that that's how we need to be, is very receptive to having unconditional love. And that's what Source is all about, unconditional love. There's no condition, that there's no amount of drinking, there's no amount of cheating, there's no amount of, taking drugs or doing this or being unkind to you, that you put a condition on love. There's no condition on love. True, authentic, internal love, there's no conditions on it. And so many people don't understand and can't comprehend that, because we're not grown up in a society to look at it in any other way. We have too many strong beliefs that we have ingrained in us. And so basically what we're doing is we need to break down the walls and those barriers and just completely expose ourselves and be utterly vulnerable. And that's when we can start to heal, really heal and love ourselves unconditionally. Because not only is it about loving other people unconditionally, but if you can't love yourself unconditionally, you certainly can't love a spouse unconditionally. And that's why people don't see things the way that they really are. Is he wasn't doing that to his wife. He wasn't drinking to hurt his wife. He wasn't doing it to hurt his children. People aren't doing that. We come to this earth selfish because we want our own needs met before anybody else. And people can tell you till you're blue in the face, oh no, that's just very unchristlike. Listen, that's exactly how we came. We came to be selfish, to think about ourselves first. And that's the representation of what people do. He wasn't doing it intentionally to hurt his wife or make her feel like shit, because it's hey, you're not as adequate as these other strippers, or whatever. It's people want to put labels on everything, and it's not about Colette. It's not about his kids. It's not about his parents. It's not about his bishop. It's not about the corporation or company that he sold. It's not about YouTube. It's about him. And everything always comes back to us, right? But this is just a perfect example of, because I'm a YouTube creator and I wanted to talk about that because I felt like I had a lot of similarities in understanding the, ebbs and flows of what that can be like. And so I don't know if this was entertaining to you, but I just wanted to express my feelings because you know me, I'm always rambling and I want to have I just have an opinion on a lot of things, and like I said, that's just what it is, my opinion. Anyway, as always, I hope you have a lovely weekend. And guess what? It's Memorial. Isn't it Memorial Day on Monday? I'm so excited. And I think I'm going to work more on the cottage and ripping carpet out and stuff. And so I'm super thrilled about that. All right. Well, I hope you guys have a great day. And as always, I'm yours until my next swim. Ciao.